Hello, Ron P here, and I want to give you a little bedtime story. So kick back, put some pajamas in, fucking put some house shoes on, light a fire, whatever the fuck you want to do, and I'll tell you a little story. Get ready. So, when I was in the ninth grade, I went to the principal's office. Me and my mother, they called us up there, and the principal said to me, "You will never have enough credits to graduate. You pretty much skipped out on the whole fucking year. So, what do you want to do? What are your options?" I was happy about this shit because I knew about the Job Corps. See, my boy, I had a homeboy who I had known since fucking I was 8 years old, and he had went to the Job Corps. He was 2 years older than me, and he going to the Job Corps. We kept in touch, and he was like, place is the shit. All you have to do is leave school and come down here. You'll be the fucking man." And so I was like, fuck it, I'm out. Peace in the Middle East. The Job Corps I went to was in Atterbury, Indiana. It was a decommissioned military base. When you first get there, they put you in this fucking building along with all the other new people. They give you a week of orientation so you can get used to what's going to be going on outside and what the program is like. They tell you about how you're going to learn trade and how they will pay for your school and all that. And so it sounded like a fucking great deal. So I got out of orientation, I hit the fucking dorms, and that's what I fucking saw. The fucking Job Corps is basically what I found out for motherfuckers who have, this is their last chance before the penitentiary. We had motherfuckers in there from Gary, Indiana, East St. Louis, Chicago, fucking the worst parts of Ohio, and they were all like gang members and shit. You have Vice Lords, Crips, Bloods, every fucking thing in there. But it was cool for me because I was from Detroit, and we don't have fucking gangs in Detroit. We don't do that shit. Detroit's too small. You end up fucking shanking your cousin. So, went down there and met a whole bunch of characters. There was fucking Babu. This motherfucker, I swear to God, he looked like the fucking Thing from the Fantastic Four. He was like 5 feet tall, 5 feet wide, all fucking muscle. Except he was black, ugly, and ashy than a motherfucker. He could come right out the shower and he still have dust coming off his ass. His brother was named Rooster. This motherfucker was nobody you want to fuck with. He was a bad motherfucker. Fucking straight up Crip. There was Rick. He used to run the dorms. I'll tell you about that in a second. But this motherfucker, all he did was work out his arms. His legs were tiny as fuck, body tiny as fuck, chest tiny as fuck, but had these big ass arms. You had a motherfucker Tony Rome. This motherfucker's from Chicago. He had his throat cut in a movie theater and by some rival gang members, and he still killed all of them. Some shit, I don't know how it went, but nobody fucked with him, and he was a fucking nutcase. So I get down there and I find out what the setup is, and my boy Chuck is there. He's like, "Yo, ain't nobody gonna fuck with you because you my little brother." That's basically what Chuck looked like right there. This motherfucker, we went to fucking elementary school together, best friends all throughout, and then we lost touch because he moved down south. This motherfucker went down south and he was throwing bales of hay and shit and fighting motherfuckers. He had like 7 uncles and they were all assholes. And he came back ripped and knowing how to fight and shit. And we got back in touch and he was like, yo, I'm your big brother and shit. And we was hanging out. And so he put that out there in the dorms and everybody knew that I was Chuck's little brother. So nobody fucked with me. So that was cool. And one of the things about the fucking dorms, no, yeah, not yet. So the dorm, he was the president. The way you become the president is you beat the fuck out of the old president. You take the fucking job. Rick, with the big ass arms, used to be the president. Chuck took his ass down, became the president. The president has a certain number of perks. First of all, you get your own fucking room. Second of all, everybody who's selling something in the dorms, weed, Debbie cakes, what the fuck ever, gives him a percentage. So he was the fucking man in there. And put this shit lightly, Chuck had a fucking big ass dick. And he used to love to show that motherfucker. Like, we would have these community showers like these right here. And we'd all be in the shower. And we would walk down with our robes on or our towels around us. But Chuck would walk down butt fucking naked, walk into the shower, and he would take his dick and put it around his waist and put it on his hip and just laugh at motherfuckers in the shower and they would leave. I told him a million times, hey, you need to stop doing that shit. You weirding motherfuckers out and somebody's gonna get pissed one day. But he didn't give a fuck, and I can understand that because nobody could pretty much fuck with him. Because one thing you learn about bad motherfuckers, gangster motherfuckers, gang members and all that shit, 90% of them motherfuckers don't know how to fight. They are willing to fight. They fucking aggressive. They fucking angry. But most of them motherfuckers don't know how to fight. And he was trained. He was trained in karate, and he was on a wrestling team. I remember Babu challenged him for the president spot. And when you challenge someone for the president spot, we go in the TV room. It was a big ass, like, living room type setup. We moved all the furniture out the way. And Babu was at least twice his fucking size. Like I said, he looked like the fucking thing. This motherfucker's wide and just all muscle. But Chuck, knowing how to wrestle, he threw his ass all over the fucking place. And then by the end of it was sad because he was riding him like a horse and doing that fucking laugh. He had this fucking laugh he would do that would just make you feel bad. He'd be like, and you just feel like an asshole. It just break you down. And so that was my best friend. That was my boy. Now there was this teacher there named fuck it, he's dead. Mr. Georges. Mr. motherfucking Georges. This is a picture of Robert Redford. This guy's handsome. Now think of this dude, a ginger, but think of Robert Redford with cancer and AIDS at the same time. That's what Georges looked like. He was shrunk up. The hair was more thinning, really thin and creepy. So, Georges started paying Chuck to come out and mow his lawn. And he lived in this really nice suburb out in Indianapolis. And so he would go out there and eventually the neighbors would be like, hey, you can come over here and make some money too. So Chuck was coming back with fucking bang. And so he was like, yo, come on with me and shit or whatever. We could spend the weekend at George's house. That's where I stay. You make fucking money, go to hit the mall, spend that shit, whatever. I was like, oh shit, cool. So we went to George's house. He picked us up from the fucking barracks, took us to his house, nice suburban house, had a cute wife, little chubby, cute, MILF, whatever. So we go out there, we set up the guest bedroom, mowed the fuck up some lawns, made some money. And then he took us out to the mall, we bought some gear, came back, and we set up in the fucking living room, and Georges was sitting in a chair behind us. I was on the floor by the TV, we were watching some fucking movie, and Chuck was like in the corner somewhere. So Georges puts on my first porno ever. My first real one. I seen HBO shit or Cinemax shit like that. This motherfucker put on The Devil and Miss Jones. And I was like, yeah! Best weekend ever. Thanks, Ginger. So I'm watching the movie, and never seen this shit before. I'm like entranced. My fucking eyes big as saucers. And I turn around to look at Chuck to tell him, yo, this shit cooler than the motherfucker. We watching a porno, we got money and shit. And turned around, Georges was beating off. Georges was jacking his little ass Ginger dick. And I turned back around. The movie lost all interest. I just looked at the TV and just tried not to look anywhere else. I was like freaked out in a motherfucker. I mean, this dude was a teacher. He was the math teacher on fucking campus. And I'm like, what the fuck? So, after we watched the movie, George's got his thing taken care of. We went back in the guest room. I'm like, Chuck, you see that Chuck? You see that motherfucker? He's like, oh yeah, that's just George's. He do that shit. He weird than the motherfucker. Fuck him. Like, we made money. I was like, okay, we made money, but I'm not coming back here again ever. Fuck that shit. So, eventually, like a couple of weeks later, months later, Chuck started banging his teacher. We'll call her Miss W because she might still be alive. And she had a roommate that was another teacher on campus. And her name started with W too. But, and no, she didn't look like that. Damn, I wish she looked like this. She looked more like, yeah, she looked more like that. She had some big ass titties though. So he was banging the one Miss W. So I hooked up with the other one and spit my little game, what he told me to say and shit. And we would go over there, we would sneak over to their house on the weekends and spend the weekends there with those two teachers. And I lost my virginity to Whitney Houston. You give good love to me, baby. So anyway, yeah, that was my first time, and I was like, yeah, I came out, I'm like, it's the teacher too. This shit cool as fuck. And she was a nice ass person and shit. And we go there and we hang out, go to the movies and shit. It was like a perfect situation. But eventually, see, I was in love with Chuck's sister. Me and his sister was like dating since forever. That's my like little middle school, high school, all that shit, sweetheart. So I got my diploma and I was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm leaving this shit. I don't have time for this. So I was in the nursing program, not the nursing aid program, and they gave us a fucking booth downtown in Indianapolis to pass out pamphlets or some shit. It was me with this motherfucker and this motherfucker from Chicago. Never trust a motherfucker from Chicago, ever. So, me and this dude, we down there, we kicking it. He's like, hey, fuck this, let's go get something to drink. Nobody coming by here anyway. They don't give a shit what we talking about. So we went to the liquor store, came back at our booth, getting fucked up. And I wasn't a drinker. I was like straight up square, and I got fucked up. And so I fucked around and told him about me and Miss W. And he was like he's all cool, like, oh shit, that's cool, that's tight, man, that's whatever. And so I left, and when I got home, this motherfucker told her he knew about her and all that, and he started fucking her. And then he got drunk. I guess he was some kind of alcoholic. He got drunk one day in the dorms and went off on her. Everybody liked her. She was cool as hell. She was cool as shit. Like one of those teachers you could just relate to and would like talk to everybody, see what their problems was and all that shit. And so one day he was in the fucking dorm and he went off about her and told everybody what was going on and was calling all kinds of bitches and hoes and shit. And they beat the fuck out that motherfucker. They beat his motherfucking ass. They put him in a hospital and shit. I was gone by this time. I was back at home trying to pursue Chuck's sister, Crazy Trick. And they fucked him up, but the word got out. She lost her job. I don't know exactly what happened as far as the reprimand and all that shit. But I know Chuck, he was still up there because he's the one that told me everything that happened. He called me when that dude got fucked up. He would come back on holidays, and he came back on Christmas holiday, and she sent a card back with him. And it was pretty much like that. And every year for about 5 years, I got a fucking Christmas card from her. She would mark her out, all the good shit, put like stick figures shooting each other and hate you motherfucker, you ain't shit and all that kind of stuff. And I deserved it, fuck it. I fucking opened my mouth. Sorry. But that's what happened. So then, like a few years ago, I bumped into fucking Chuck. This motherfucker's riding a fucking Gixxer V-twin. Alright, if you know nothing about motorcycles, a V-twin is not a sport bike. That's not the bike you go for. He had on brand new fucking leathers. You can see that. And this is expensive shit. A V-twin is expensive than a motherfucker. But you can get a faster bike for cheaper if you know what the fuck you're doing. And he had on brand new fucking whole leather hookup, fucking Suzuki helmet. I mean, the whole nine. I was like, oh shit. I'm like, damn. So we talking for a minute. I'm like, how the fuck you get this money? You balling and shit. And he was like, I got this shit from George's. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, George's. He's like, shit, after you stopped coming around, George's had me banging his wife. He would beat off. And eventually, the wife got tired of him and divorced him. She left him. And George's would have Chuck bring girls by the house so he could bang them in front of them or whatever. That was his thing. And this motherfucker died. He left his money to Chuck. Not his son. He had a son. Not his wife. his fucking student. He left his money to fucking Chuck. Chuck got George's money. True story. No bullshit. Crazy.